welcome to another episode of MedTech Talk. I'm your host Shruti, and we have Dr. Abhay Chopada sir with us. Hello, sir.
Hi, thank you for inviting me, Shruti.
Yes. As Paris Olympics are on the horizon, sir, I want to talk about sports and healthcare is important part of the sports. So I want to talk about how AI in healthcare and sports could be like something interesting. So let's begin. My first question to you, sir, is how will AI impact sports healthcare in both preventive measures as well as treatment protocols?
First of all, let me start by saying that AI has always been there, much before it came into healthcare, into sports. Because training for sports involved a lot of very complex calculations, and people realize that they can push the human limit by using technology, measuring it, and training the right aspect. But let's come to something very specific they're asking me as to how will AI impact sports injuries or other sports performance. Now, both these things actually drill down to knowing and getting the right information. So, today, when let's assume you're training for an endurance race, you need to have the right balance of your slow endurance muscles as opposed to your fast fibers, which twitch and give you speed, right? Now, today we do have an understanding about it, but as we go deeper into AI, we will have image analysis way beyond what we have today. And we probably will be able to pre choose people who are much more likely to get you the gold medal. Today we wait for talent to get, explored based on their performance. But going ahead, it is quite possible that you will be able to screen across and pick up people who potentially are in that category and train them in order to get the best performance out. Coming to sports injuries, again, it is the same thing. Muscular injuries are notoriously difficult to diagnose and treat. And traditionally, the approach has merely been rest, weight. But once you start thinking in terms of the arena of AI, you'll get insights which we currently just don't have. So, for instance, if you can pick up a very specific group of muscle that actually is injured, it is quite possible that you can still continue with the training but resting that specific group. It sounds far fetched, or we might even have tools and external implanted stimulants which will only stimulate a specific group of muscles based on AI algorithms. So there's a host of things. I really can see a huge change in the way we approach sports as a whole. Because to me, sports is nothing more than extension of human physiology. It is just performance at its peak. And what AI is doing is giving us insight to manipulate every aspect of that performance. So I'm very
Right.
positive that AI is going to have a very positive impact on health sports medicine.
Yeah, AI opens up the possibilities even more. So that's great. So, coming to our next question, sir, could you explain how AI contributes specifically to preventive healthcare strategies for athletes?
It is an extension of what I said earlier. Once you start actually assessing things well in advance, you'll be able to predict injuries. I'll give you a very simple example. When I'm training, or a person is training in a gym today, he's stretching his muscles, but no one knows for a fact what is the limit of that muscle stretch. At what point will that muscle really get injure itself as opposed to just stretch itself? Now you can imagine that once those data starts becoming available, your training is going to be so hyper personalized, and it is going to be driven out of algorithms rather than a human. So let's kind of imagine a future where every aspect of your training is actually algorithm driven. How much you're going to stretch, how many times you're going to repeat, what is the net effect, have you reached peak performance, do you need to move to some other endurance activity. So I'll give you a very simple analogy. Treat the human body as a very efficient machine, and the machine's working fine, but it can get into an accident because not every road is visible. But once I put a light with the help of AI on every road, it's going to be very smooth. Whether to encourage people to get into sports is a much more debatable question, because as we go into AI, it is quite possible that people will get much more involved in the cerebral side of life and start ignoring the
Hmm.
physical side of life.
So basically, you can't overdo the one thing and ignore the other, right? So it will be a balancing act, I guess.
True.
So I would like to know, sir, how does AI impact athletes in various disabilities and in enhancing their performances or overall health?
So now let us look at AI, not just directly related to athletics, but also what AI is doing in terms of technology enhancement to help the people with disabilities. Technology is actually
Yeah.
impacting so many areas of research with technological enhancements. The disabilities that previously were impossible are now very, very manageable. And that you can see that with artificial limbs. You can see that with artificial sight. You can see that with cochlear implants. You can see that with spinal implants. So the way I look at it is disability as a whole is going to get addressed so much better with the help of AI and technology combined. That I see a time when actually disability will be a manageable condition, and though everyone will have the access to the full capabilities of the human body. Coming back to the immediate short term, yes, AI will help immensely training parathletes so that we can make sure that they're not injuring, because injuries are much more frequent in parathletes than normal people. And that is because obviously they have disabilities, which means their training has to be very different. So I'm hopeful that as we evolve, we will have a lot better training of them, and slowly but steadily we wouldn't have Paralympics. We just have Olympics because disabilities will be managed.
Right. Yeah. That's fantastic. It's like a dream come true for many, and yeah, that's amazing. So, coming to our next question, sir. So I read that Paris Olympics is implementing Athlete 365 Mind Zone Powered. So, how exactly does it work? And beyond the Olympics, what else can we do with it?
So my limited understanding of what Paris Olympics is doing is again uh, putting the same belief. 365 implements that around the world, positive mindsets and training, going together to overcome challenges. So it is kind of a very holistic 360 view of how technologies and human endurance can work with each other to get the best outputs. And we actually can apply that even in medicine. I would say what they are doing in the Olympic arena, I see the same thing happening in healthcare, whereby we will absolutely say that we can take the same philosophy and let people recover faster.
That's great. Like everybody kind of needs that, right? The peace of mind to focus on what we are doing. So, yeah. So, my next question to you, sir, is looking forward to innovations in AI and technology. Do you foresee influencing athlete healthcare in what influence does it have in athlete healthcare in future Olympic games? Like right now, we are at this point that it's mind zone and everything. So, yeah.
So let me give you two angles to this. So remember, even today, there are athletes that come in two categories: athletes who have access to the best training, the best technology, and they perform a lot better, and athletes who do not have access to that technology, and they just depend on natural training, and they unfortunately don't do as well, right? Unless you're exception. My worry is AI is just going to widen that gulf. You have access to information and you can manipulate it and use it for your own benefit. It's just an extension of what technology has done into training. As I said right at the beginning, technology and AI is already there in training of people. There are machines that will tell you optimal stretch. There are machines which will train you for optimal stride. There are machines that will train you for optimal, speed. So they already are. That is in a way a derived intelligence. Anyway, it is not artificial. In fact, the word artificial intelligence is a slight misnomer. It's not artificial. It is just a derived intelligence, right? That we're using technology to harness information to get best outputs. So whether we like it or not, it is with us to stay. Uh, Especially athletes who are privileged enough to have access to it, they're going to perform a lot better. And believe you me, once people see the benefits, AI is going to kind of, in my eyes, democratize the world. Because once you have access, everyone has access. And then slowly and steadily, it means that you have a level playing field.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, wow. So, yeah, that was my last question, and this has been very insightful. Lastly, sir, what would you like to give a message to all the athletes that who are going to compete in the games this year?
No, no, I wish them very well. I'm a huge fan of people in sports. Uh, it is amazing to recognize how much hard work, discipline, intelligence, and training has to come together to create peak performance. And anyone who just thinks that sports is a mere waste of time, I would like to tell them that it is anything but. To have the perfect, all the top athletes, in my eyes, are epitomes of human abilities, and not just in the physical sense. They're mentally sharp, they're shrewd, they're astute, they're disciplined. So, to all the Olympians who are training for Paris, I'll say my best wishes are with you. Give your best performance. Try not to get injured. And even if there's an injury, we are there to look after you.
Yeah, that's great. Yes, definitely. I agree with you, sir. I think all the sports person there are, it's all about the sacrifices and the discipline that not a normal human can achieve. So, yeah, thank you so much for your valuable time, sir. Uh, this has been great. And yeah, so all the listeners out there, like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and stay safe, stay informed, because your health is in your hands. Thank you.